A very good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 19 of our 21-day challenge. In today's live, we'll have the following discussion. And before we start, I hope you're all doing great. So, how is everything going on? So, it's 19th day. We're about to complete by day after tomorrow, where we'll plan some series of events on 21st day, along with sharing your testimonials and we'll try to have loads and loads of fun. So I'm sure this 21-day challenge is helping each and every one of you in your own capacity, both personally and professionally. Also, one of you was asking whether we can expect more of these 21-day challenges in near future or after this. Of course, yes. Each 21-day challenge will take up one new habit, one habit which helps us both in a personal and professional way. And definitely we'll consider having more of these challenges in coming days, in coming future. Right? Okay, so I hope you guys are all ready. So let's go ahead. So 21-day challenge, we are on a 19th day. So first we'll start with the following general topic. Stop fighting straw men. Uh, Another type of inappropriate response which causes worry, insecurity, and tension is the bad habit of trying to respond emotionally to something which doesn't exist except in our imaginations. We can all correlate with this. Often the cause of worry is excessive imagination, unnecessary excessive imaginations. Not satisfied with over responding to actual minor stimuli in the actual environment, many of us create straw men in our imaginations and emotionally respond to our own mental pictures. That's why they say, see things as they are. In addition to those negatives which actually exist in the environment, we impose our own negatives based on our imagination. This or that may happen. What if such and such happens? When we worry, with this ongoing thought process, when we worry, we form mental pictures, in fact, adverse mental pictures of what may exist in the environment, of what may happen. We then respond to these negative pictures as if they were present reality. Remember, your nervous system cannot tell the difference between a real experience and one that is vividly imagined. That's the reason why uh, our dreams feel real, at least during sleep. That's the reason why when we watch movie, even though we know that it's a fiction or it's something just created on screen on celluloid, we still are able to enjoy it. And that's the reason why when we imagine bad things, we actually experience them as if they are present right now. Because our nervous system cannot tell the difference between what's real and what's being imagined because it perceives the same way. That's the reason why we react as if that imagined situation were real, isn't it? Let me ask you a simple, straightforward question related to this. Most of you haven't given the exam. Most of you haven't seen your result yet, but still you're worried that you might not do good in exam, or still you're worried, what if I don't know the answer? What if I score low? These things haven't happened yet, but still it's only because of your imagination. And since your nervous system cannot tell the difference between what's real and what's imagined, you're taking the brunt, isn't it? So this is something which we should all consider very seriously. Again, you can tranquilize yourself against this sort of disturbance, not by something you do, but by something you don't do, your refusal to respond. That's it. That's the essence of this entire general topic today. Refusal to respond to unnecessary negative stimuli. So, as far as your emotions are concerned, the proper response to worry pictures is to totally ignore them. Live emotionally in the present moment. As you're attending this live session, are you in the present moment? Are you paying attention to all that's being discussed, or are you lost in some thought, past memories or future expectations, or are you living in the present moment? Live emotional in the present moment, analyze your environment, become more aware of what actually exists in your environment, and respond and react spontaneously to that. We are best in doing so. In order to do this, you must give all your attention to what's happening now. You must keep your eye on the ball, then your response will be appropriate, and you'll have no time to notice or respond to fictitious environment. So this is something which haunts us on day-to-day basis. Imaginations uh, in a negative way, which affect our present moment and ruin what we're doing now, isn't it? So this is something which we should think over time and again and get used to forming a habit of, uh, you know, staying in the present instead of getting lost either in past or in future. And it is possible through practice. And that's what this 21-day challenge is all about. It's all about practice. It's all about consistency. You want to incorporate something new, something good, something which you know will enhance your capabilities. Just do it consistently for 21 days and see the difference for yourself. Right? So with this, let's move on to our academic part, where we'll discuss an inspiring biography of Karl Landsteiner, his entire lifetime's contribution to various specialties, including physiology, medicine, immunology, and so on and so forth, and look into his contributions into science. And also for his contributions, he was even awarded Nobel Prize in medicine or physiology. We'll go through that now, and hope everything is streaming fine. Yeah, I think we can move ahead. I'll get back to your comments. So once again, a very good morning. So those whose eyelids are partially closed, it's time for you to open up, wide open. So Karl Landsteiner is not by birth American, but later got American citizenship. So Karl Landsteiner, 1868 to 1943. Before we start, I'll tell you why I'm doing this literature review of individuals. Their life stories are very inspiring. Even we have life, each and every one of you has life, and you're leading it in your own way. And when you have good examples, when you have inspiring examples, you'll have clarity on what you can do, what you can possibly do with your own life. I'm not asking you to mimic, but you can be unique and successful in your own way, provided we need good examples, not bad examples. So when you have good examples, you feel inspired, you feel motivated, you see what others have done. It's not about rat race or it's not about some kind of competition, but it's about getting inspired by the fact that human mind has amazing potential. And if we are determined to achieve, of course we will, no matter what the obstacle or what the barrier is. That's what these all people have been proving time and again. So with this objective, let's go ahead with the following literature review. In the process, we'll also try to highlight certain important points which are relevant to your interest. Karl Landsteiner was one of the first scientists to study the physical process of immunity. Even though Jenner has come up with this idea of vaccination and all, we couldn't really get into the depths of what's really happening in the backdrop. But with other contributions, including that of Karl Landsteiner, could understand, study the physical process of immunity, like antigen antibody responses. In fact, he is one of the first to demonstrate the reason behind contact dermatitis, that is allergic reactions. We'll look into all of that now. He is best known for his identification and characterization of human blood groups A, B, O. AB was later discovered by his colleagues. And also, Landsteiner discovered other blood groups like L, M. We'll get back to them again later. So, the moment you hear Landsteiner, you know it's all about blood groups, and for which he was awarded even Nobel Prize, since it saved several lives. Several lives. We'll get back to that again. So, and his contributions have spanned many areas of immunology, bacteriology, pathology, or a prolific 40-year career. Landsteiner identified the agents responsible for immune reactions, examined the interaction of antigens and antibodies, and studied allergic reactions in experimental animals. He determined the viral cause of poliomyelitis with research that laid the foundation for eventual development of polio vaccine by Salk, as you know. He also discovered that some simple chemicals that such as haptens, you know haptens, right? When linked to proteins, produced an immune response. Near the end of his career in 1940, Landsteiner and immunologist Levine discovered Rh factor that helped save lives of many unborn babies whose Rh factor did not match their mothers. Rh negative mother, Rh positive baby, right? You know the story. Hemolytic disorders of newborn. For his work identifying the human blood groups, Landsteiner was awarded Nobel Prize for Medicine or Physiology in the year 1930. Karl Landsteiner was born in Vienna, Austria. In 1885, at the age of 17, Landsteiner passed entrance examination, just like how you guys passed for medical school at the University of Vienna. He graduated from medical school at the age of 23, just like you, and immediately began advanced studies in the field of organic chemistry, working in research laboratory of his mentor, Ernest Ludwig. So it's interesting to know that he is into organic chemistry. In Ludwig's laboratory, Landsteiner's interest in chemistry blossomed into a passion for approaching medical problems through a chemist's eye, which is very, very significant. For the next 10 years, Landsteiner worked in a number of labs in Europe, studying under some of the most celebrated chemists of the day, like Emil Fischer, a protein chemist who subsequently won Nobel Prize for Chemistry in 1902 in Würzburg, Eugen von Bamberger in Munich, and author Hans and Roland Skoll in Zurich. Landsteiner published many journal articles with these famous scientists. The knowledge he gained about organic chemistry during these formative years guided him throughout his career. The nature of antibodies began to interest Landsteiner while he was serving as assistant to Gruber in the Department of Hygiene at University of Vienna, 1896 to 1897. During this time, Landsteiner published his first article on the subject of bacteriology and serology, the study of blood. Landsteiner moved to Vienna's Institute of Pathology in 1897, where he was hired to perform autopsies. He continued to study immunology and mysteries of blood on his own time. In 1900, Landsteiner wrote a paper in which he described the agglutination of blood that occurs when one person's blood is brought into contact with that of another. A significant finding. He suggested that the phenomena was not due to pathology as was the prevalent thought at that time, but rather was due to unique nature of the individual's blood. In 1901, Landsteiner demonstrated that the blood serum of some people could clump the blood of others. And from his observations, he devised the idea of mutually incompatible blood groups, and he placed blood types into three groups, A, B, C, which is later referred to as O. Two of his colleagues subsequently developed the fourth blood group, that is AB, and rest is history. In 1907, the first successful transfusions were achieved by Dr. Reuben Ottenberg of Mount Sinai Hospital, New York, guided by Landsteiner's work. Landsteiner's accomplishment saved many lives on battlefields of World War I, where transfusion of compatible blood was first performed on a large scale. In 1902, Landsteiner was appointed as a full member of Imperial Society of Physicians in Vienna. That same year, he presented a lecture together with Max Richter of Vienna University Institute of Foreign Medicine, in which the two reported a new method of typing dried blood stains to help solve crimes in which blood stains are left at the scene. In 1908, Landsteiner took charge of Department of Pathology at Wilhelmina Hospital, Vienna. I love Austria, but pronouncing their names are very challenging. The best example I can give you is Arnold Schwarzenegger. His tenure at the hospital lasted 12 years until March of 1920. During this time, Landsteiner was at the height of his career and produced 52 papers on serological immunity, 33 on bacteriology, and 6 on pathological anatomy. He was among the first to dissociate antigens that stimulate the production of immune responses known as antibodies. Landsteiner was also among the first to purify antibodies, and his purification techniques are still used till date for some applications in immunology. We're almost about to conclude. Landsteiner also collaborated with Ernest Finger, the head of Vienna's Clinic for Venereal Diseases in Dermatology. In 1905, Landsteiner and Finger successfully transferred the venereal disease syphilis from humans to apes, but with a good intention. The result was that researchers had an animal model in which the study of disease was possible. In 1906, Landsteiner and Victor Mucha, a scientist from Chemical Institute at Finger's clinic, developed the technique of dark field microscopy to identify and study microorganisms that caused syphilis. One day in 1908, the body of a young polio victim was brought in for autopsy. Landsteiner took a portion of boy's spinal column and injected it into spinal canal of several other species of experimental animals, including rabbits, guinea pigs, mice, and monkeys. Only the monkeys contracted the disease. Landsteiner reported the results of the experiment conducted with Popper, an assistant at Wilhelmina Hospital, Vienna. Scientists had accepted that polio was caused by a microorganism, but previous experiments by other researchers had failed to isolate a causative agent, which was presumed to be a bacterium. But because of Landsteiner's work, they came to a conclusion that it was a virus. Because monkeys were hard to come by in Vienna, Landsteiner went to Paris to collaborate with Romanian bacteriologist Constantin Levadity of Pasteur Institute. Working together, the two were able to trace poliomyelitis to a virus, describe the manner of its transmission, time its incubation phase, and show how it could be neutralized in lab when mixed with serum of convalescing patient, that is, using antibodies. In 1912, Landsteiner proposed that the development of vaccine against poliomyelitis might prove difficult but was certainly possible, which was made possible by Jonas Salk. The first successful polio vaccine developed by Jonas Salk wasn't administered until 1955. Another inspiring story, which we'll try to cover in another session, Jonas Salk. And Landsteiner accepted a position as chief dissector in a small Catholic hospital in The Hague, Netherlands, where he performed routine lab tests on urine blood from 1919 to 1922. During this time, he began working on concept of haptens, a small molecular weight chemical such as fats or sugars that determine the specificity of antigen-antibody reactions when combined with the protein carrier, which we have seen initially. He combined haptens of known structure with well-characterized proteins such as albumin and showed that small changes in hapten could affect antibody production, sensitization. He developed methods to show that it is possible to sensitize animals to chemicals that cause contact dermatitis in humans, demonstrating that contact dermatitis is caused by antigen-antibody reaction. This work launched Landsteiner into study of phenomena of allergic reactions. In 1922, Landsteiner accepted a position at Rockefeller Institute in New York. Throughout the 1920s, Landsteiner worked on problems of immunity and allergy, and this is where he discovered new blood groups M and P, refining the work he had begun 20 years prior. Soon after, Landsteiner and his collaborator Levin published the work in 1927, the types began to be used in paternity suits, America, right? So in 1929, Landsteiner became a US citizen. He won the Nobel Prize for Medicine in 1930 for identifying human blood types. In his Nobel lecture, not N-O-B-L-E, it is N-O-B-L-E, so it is Nobel, right? Not Nobel, I'm sorry. So in his Nobel lecture, Landsteiner gave an account of his work on individual differences in human blood, describing the differences in blood between different species and among individuals of same species. This theory is accepted as fact today, but was at odds with prevailing thought when Landsteiner began his work. In 1936, Landsteiner summed up his life's work in what was to become a medical classic, the specificity of serological reactions. And all the best for trying to read that in a different language, I think his native language. So the specificity of serological reactions. And Landsteiner retired in 1939 at age of 71, but continued working in immunology. And with Levine and Weiner, he discovered another blood factor labeled Rh factor for rhesus monkeys, in which the factor was first discovered. It was shown to be responsible for HDNB or erythroblastosis fetalis that occurs when mother and fetus have incompatible blood types, as you know, and the fetus is injured by mother's antibodies. Landsteiner died in 1943 at the age of 75. Right? So this is the inspiring life story in brief of Karl Landsteiner and his contributions, not just to one profession but to different professions. Which only proves the fact that it's only us who limit ourselves in the process of our journey or where we want to reach. So these are some of the facts and literature which I wanted to discuss in this specific video. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed the literature review, and I really hope it's not sleepy, right? So your feedback is always welcome. And before I conclude, as I keep on reminding, it's all about working hard, working consistently, and believing in ourselves. There can be ups and downs. Sometimes you might feel low, but questioning yourself and not allowing yourself to fall into the trap of negativity by simply failing to respond to these negative stimuli. And if you carefully observe, it's often our imagination which causes more worry than the actual situation out there, as we have seen initially, isn't it? So with this, let's conclude our day 19th live session. So wish you all a wonderful day ahead. Love you all, and see you again tomorrow in 5 a.m. club. Take care.